9 as Phoenix1 has pulled out all the stops and look for a victory here.
And so the bans previously from Phoenix1 were Lee Sin, Elise, and Rengar on blue side. And Cloud9 had done Rumble, Kennen, and Ivern. I feel like some of those will definitely change up here. Lee Sin will stay. Don't know if you have to ban Elise now.
It's interesting because Contractz has been so good at, not only creating early game leads for Cloud9 so far this series, but also big late game performance there in the last one. Now he's getting targeted very, very heavily again by Phoenix1, just like the first game that we saw.
Yeah, and I remember when Contractz first came into the scene, a lot of people were like, yes, Lee Sin's his best champion, and everything else falls off from there. He's shored up that weakness. He's added a lot of champions to that pool. Elise, Graves, even the Rengar for him have been good picks. So Contractz throwing bans at him kind of just doesn't
Hasn't worked yet.
It doesn't hamstring him. It kind of just knocks him off of the cream of the crop, and that's it.
Been interesting to watch his kind of rise and being more aggressive. With the Ivern start, you thought maybe he was a lot of utility for the team and would always trend that way. But like you guys said, has that aggression and now trying to be matched by Meteos on the side of P1 as he is subbed in.
And I could do like, Cloud9 sticking to their guns as well as far as the pick ban plans that both teams came into the series with. Not being thrown off by the substitutions, not kind of jumping into that, let's try and ban the Meteos comfort champions. Meteos to me is a guy that, yeah, he does have those comfort champions, but man, he has put in a lot of time in a lot of different champions as well. And he still has things like the Gragas that are just ready and waiting to pop out. So we'll see what they decide to first pick here. So many options still available. Will they again go with a jungle takeaway from Contractz and kind of make it that semi-4 bans?
I would think it's kind of Elise or Lulu here in my mind for Phoenix1. I think would be the two really obvious ones to go with, because the Elise would be the 4th pick that they would strangle away from Contractz, and another comfort one. He'll have to play something like Kha'Zix or Ivern this game.
There's the AP in the jungle we're looking for from Phoenix1.
And I gotta say,
C9 has
a rookie pulling 3 bans and a first pick in the jungle, that's worth right there. Like, even if Contractz, I would say, like, does nothing for the rest of the game, that's a damn good job right there, pulling a whole bunch of bans. Not everybody does that. You don't always have to play around certain players on a team. Like, you'd love to be able to throw bans at Jensen, at Impact, get him off some tanks, but if they're spending them all on Contractz and he still performs well or neutral, that's a win right there.
Gotta respect the guy when he's on.
A lot of the same coming through from Cloud9 as well compared to game number 1 for them. Sneaky and Smoothie feel very comfortable with this duo, and rightfully so. A lot of early lane control for themselves and the late game initiation potential there, as well as defense versus assassins also works versus Elise, right? Lulu protects very well against her as well.
Yeah, Lulu is just a huge blocker for people who want to make plays, and then you have your own playmaker on the Ashe. It becomes very frustrating to make a play and have it succeed against a Lulu. So it means things like Talon become less likely to be picked. Even Ahri is something that you have to really consider, what's the Lulu going to do here? And I would even say LeBlanc, because the last time Ryu played LeBlanc, it was into this Lulu here from Smoothie, and one of those fights, he jumped in, got stunned, and then he got polymorphed and obliterated.
So the Zyra pickup provides a strong lane, also safety for someone that might take an arrow to the face.
Yeah, we've also been seeing Phoenix1 have low pressure bottom lane in these last 2 games, and now they have one that you expect to force push up the whole time and get some wards behind them so they aren't as easily ganked.
I mean, they've had Karma the last 2 games, and Karma not too shabby either. So we'll see how Stunt can do here. Definitely can combo very well with the Varus, and if you're able to land up one of those snares. You do have to be very careful, though, about the level 6s from both sides. Possibility of getting those kills early on.
Oh, a Kassadin ban from Cloud9. Very interesting.
They do have first pick in the 2nd round of the draft phase. So they could even go with the LeBlanc on their side if Jensen wants to try his hand at it. They did definitely feel the pressure from all the sustain of a Gunblade, and might fancy it himself.
Yeah, you might have to ban it yourself as well.
Top laners get a bit more love here as C9 focusing that on their side in the first phase of bans. Now 18 seconds here in Cloud9 with their final ban.
Maybe Ahri take that away from Ryu.
Reaper communicating with the team. It's actually going to be the Fizz.
They've actually thrown so many bans to keep Impact safe. The Rumble, the Kennen, the Renekton, and the Fizz. They've taken away a lot of the tank bullies that you would typically pick into tanks to punish them and get a lane advantage.
Yeah, he would just be left with the Kled as far as one of his main champions for Zig, and he was handed his loss there in the last game by, yeah, there it is. As he said, it's always possible for Jensen to also pick that up.
Nautilus.
Phoenix1 not going to let it go over after that casted and ban. Intelligent first round there for from Reaper, like him forcing out kind of that ban from Phoenix1.
And these have just been such interesting drafts back and forth. These are actually the two coaches were number 1 and 2 in the coach of the split voting. Yeah, sorry, Camille showed up. There actually, sorry, there hasn't.
Camille showed up. Zyrene's eyes go hard.
The thickness comes up, and I'm just like, whoa. But yes, they were number 1 and 2, and it was by 6 points. 6-point difference between the two. That is insane. That is 2 first-place votes of a difference between these two coaches. That's how much everybody was voting for both these guys. And look at that.
Meanwhile, I can do anything, you can do better.
Man, it feels like Ray and Zig kind of learned from each other, because last time they played each other, Ray actually played Kled into Zig, and now he's playing Jarvan into Impact. But I gotta say, if you're playing Jarvan into Impact, you gotta suspect that Impact plays one-on-ones against Ray on that champion.
Yeah, it does feel, though, kind of like Cloud9 have been one step ahead in this pick ban phase, as Jensen's gonna lock in his very, very successful Ekko into the Syndra now as well. And they've got Impact on the premier tank in the top lane. He's done such a good job at flanking and being that front line for the team. This is definitely a composition that's in Cloud9's wheelhouse. And Phoenix1, the pressure is on.
Oh yeah, and the 1-3-1, even if Cloud9 lose a little bit of the early game, they can spread you quite thin. The Ekko is so devastating and can go for flanks, and Jensen loves this champion. He'll have another global up his sleeve with the teleport, and I thought that the Ekko would be the answer from Ryu in game 2 to the Syndra, because it's such a good counter. If it gets off the ground, it can body the Syndra, and that's what Jensen's gonna try to do this game.
Teleports as well on the side of Cloud9 as we see Ryu running that Taster's Choice Flash Ghost for Syndra to keep himself safe in the mid lane. As you said, pressure is on for Phoenix1. They have tried to soar high since being a team placed in the promotion tournament, and now up playing in the semifinals for a spot in the finals in Vancouver. Cloud9 trying to halt them in their tracks with 2-0 now as we head into game 3. We're almost on the rift. Hashtag P1 win, hashtag C9 win.
And Cloud9, they want to make the finals. They want to be back there in Canada playing, redeeming themselves, whether it's against TSM, who knocked them out in summer and stopped them from having that first place spot, or against FlyQuest, part of their old team.
The crowd is ready.
I'm ready. Let's go. You're ready. Let's get in this game.
Ready in T-5, and we are on the rift. Game 3 here of the semifinals. BO5, and Cloud9 looks to keep their losses a best of 5s, only at 1 if they can get this victory.
And I'm sure many fans' eyes will be on Meteos here and what he can do to change up the early game for Phoenix1 on his Elise, one of his favorite champions, one of the premier early ganking champions as well. And off to the classic start. Stare down in the river.
Who's going to get the Raptors first? That's pretty much it. He's already put points into the W. You always take that on Elise at the beginning. You can check rush, etc. Walk up C.
Interesting thing, too, as well, with the, you talked about Zig kind of taking away the Ray-style champions here and playing the Jarvan into Impact. That is Impact's practice partner.
Yes, that's
so he's definitely had a lot of time to play against the Jarvan.
And it's also Ray's most played champion of all time at 15 games. I believe now, actually 16, now he's 11-5 on it. So he's played against somebody who is so practiced on that champion too. But I will say, we talked about how Zig performing on carry top laners, undefeated on things like Jace, also the Kled until that last game. That was his first loss ever on that champion in professional play. Now he's on something that's a little bit more carry-oriented again. So this might be a different look for P1, but the one that we really like to see from them.
Well, last time we did see some steal away on the small Raptors and nails a couple of them.
Got himself 2 of the small ones there. Walks away with 20 gold, a little bit more experience.
Sees that communicating to the team actually as he wipes his hands off quick, gets ready for the top lane.
And I will say, when you take 2 of those, you actually stop level 2 from coming out for the jungler. And that really sucks for Contractz, because now Meteos gets to go take his blue.
Yeah, and it definitely does mean a lot for the Kha'Zix especially, as far as the clear speed and trying to get the isolation to finish off that Raptor for your Q, because almost always, you'll start the W there for the AoE and spikes, but not able to count on the extra experience. Ward here from Jensen, but Meteos didn't waste any time. He left the large Raptor and immediately went in to go steal that. So already, Meteos here making aggressive moves, and Contractz is going to be on the back foot for quite a while.
Yeah, and he has almost no idea exactly where he is, because he could be bottom right now, ganking. And that's the funny part, too, is he took that blue, but they didn't see him return with Jensen's ward. So now you're going to see the bottom lane go for a ward here. Cloud9's like, where is he?
And my question is, because Meteos, you can still easily gank bottom lane. I mean, early game, bottom lane is super, super easy for Elise to get into, you know, either over the Dragon Pit or using any of the Blast Cones. My question is, will Meteos follow up on his threat against Sneaky, talking about camping bottom lane, and I'm going to be all over there?
Sneaky's like, I'm going to go in your jungle. Sneaky's playing Ashe, though. He doesn't have to go into the jungle. He just hawkshot and find where Meteos is. True. A little bit of a cheater, yeah, say.
Saying they would constantly invade. We'll see if they stay true to the story here in Game 3.
Yeah, I do want to talk about what we had just saw on the screen there, because that was a 9.6 CS per minute for Jensen, and he had about 2 more CS per minute over Ryu, and that just shows that Jensen's consistency in winning, losing matchups, whatever he's playing. He's getting control of mid, and he's constantly on top of his game, and those things add up very quickly to large gold leads yourself.
And as well, you got to play it very patiently and safely, knowing Contractz is having a bit slower of a jungle. You have to play safe, but still has the upper hand.
There's 2 people coming in here, and Meteos is just chilling.
Flash forward, the ward was there, Repel is up, but he can only come down so far away. Is it a double buff refresh coming in? Meteos stays alive, he's got to walk on this one. And he's not going to hit the Blast Cone, doesn't want to affect Zig too much, and he gets out.
It's actually a
great save.
Summoner spell advantage for P1 there.
Yep. A little hairy.
Yeah, that was strange, because Impact left lane, and then they kind of just waited. Meteos, don't know if he expected Contractz to be there.
I think well, you definitely should be expecting the full commitment there. And he is able to get a decent trade off. Got a little bit close for comfort there. We'll see how he is able to affect the bottom lane now as he heads off to go grab the Krugs. Meanwhile, Smoothie and Sneaky continuing their control of the bottom lane. Contractz, though, still feeling the pain from that
they'll still hit you.
2 Raptor camp small steal away from Zig.
Yeah, he's going to be, I believe, a level and a half down after all of that. So it's really rough for him, and it's not going to get much better either. He goes for early Tracker's Knife, whereas Meteos has more dueling power and levels.
And Meteos should know, they should be communicating to Meteos that the bottom lane of C9 just went over towards this Tribush to place that ward. So if he really does want to affect that bottom lane, there are a lot of options. You can Blast Cone, you can also save your Repel to try and attack Sneaky, and if he doesn't want to gank bottom lane, then he can just try and get some of that vision around mid lane that we were mentioning for a possibility of trying to help out Ryu and change the face of the game.
Oh. Spotted by the hawk shot, that ability. As junglers, hate it. Hate it when there's a good Ashe on the enemy team who can constantly just throw, even if you see the camps that are up and the camps that are down, that gives you still a lot of information, because you know that that person is not going to be in that area for at least the next 2 minutes if you see it go down and he's on.
Either you see them or you don't, it's still information the team can use.
Yeah.
It's busted. Yes. Tell Riot. So looking at this game, 6 minutes in, no real lead in either lane, and definitely a slowdown for Contractz. Nobody's really been fighting, but he has opened each game with 2 kills. Still has that chance, but Meteos has already been able to put a little bit of a tag on him here in the early game.
Yeah, it was teamwork to slow him down, make sure he doesn't get level 2 off of the first camp, and then took away his blue, got some of those camps over him. He's now kind of rubber banding a little bit back into this game and just sticking to farming, but that allows Meteos time to set up wards and allow for positioning, keep his lane safe.
Yeah, and unless Phoenix1 can actually create some plays off of those wards, I think that Cloud9 are actually okay with going with a steady early game, going with the farm, try and just farm it out and wait for the opportunities where they really do shine. Here's the first roam from Smoothie and Contractz, once again working in unison.
Got a flash. Jensen getting a flash from the laner there is big without having to blow anything himself. Because now repeat gankable very easy, and Contractz will hit 6, and we've seen him use the R multiple times to get into lanes.
And not only did that move from the jungle or support combo lend some extra credibility to that all-in from Jensen, but also they cleared out all of those wards that Meteos and Ryu spent so much time setting up to try and protect against this. So here's one of the bigger changes that we're seeing, and it is the bottom lane really getting involved in this warding game. Meteos comes through too, and they try and correct it as quickly as possible. That being said, a lot of the deeper ones are sticking around, and C9 still have a lot of valuable information.
And there's going to be a small point in this game where Phoenix1 are definitely going to be behind in control of the jungle and of the river, because Tracker's Knife for Contractz over Meteos going for the Skirmisher Saber, but also Frost Fang for Stunt so he can do more damage and try to win lane alongside Arrow, whereas Smoothie will go for that Sightstone much faster.
Much faster. We'll still have the upgrades coming in, but the vision may play a bigger role in whoever gets that spike first. Cutlasses for both of the AD carries, as we see basically the same build throughout the games. Getting that attack speed and damage first. Contractz and Impact working the buddy system on the top side, and they're going to walk right into this vision.
Yeah, Meteos was on the bottom. They saw him with that ward. Also, he has a red buff to do. So now Contractz gets to hang out on top. That's a good ward from Zig, but it will be killed off, and he'll have to play more defensive for the next few minutes before he gets some cover from Meteos.
Also, remember this is an Infernal Drake as the first spawn. So anytime you see top lane movement from the jungler there, you really have to worry about control of that dragon. Splashes down, and Meteos is immediately on the dragon.
Exactly. He's on it right now, that flash.
And immediately off.
Yeah, because Hawkshot sees him.
Uh-oh. Taking a little bit of damage.
Feel like pick up the plants, and then you wait. You just disengage, and then you revisit the bottom lane. Meteos might have to make good on his promise to visit Sneaky's lane.
Talked about the explosive level 6 from these bottom lanes. Ultimates are currently available.
Couldn't get around just enough. Oh, you can get it. This little dance between Ryu and Jensen. Jensen liking that a little bit more with Contractz just behind him, but so is Meteos. Top lane fight of Impact and Zig.
Riptide?
The depth charge goes out. Yeah, Riptide has slowed down the fight as Zig can't connect once again, and Impact's going to have to peel off here.
Yeah, he was waiting for his Courage of the Colossus to come back up. Went for that hook to try and proc it. Wasn't ready yet. The fruit, saving grace.
Yep. I was always wondering when those things came out. I was like, this plant looks busted. Hold on. Hits Ryu.
They're going to find him. That could be first blood. Parallel Convergence would have had him locked down. Remember, the flash was blown just earlier, so they make sure they tag onto that mid lane again.
Again, Contractz and Jensen are going to make the first blood happen. Meanwhile, Zig taking a lot of damage on the exit there, but once again, the mid lane has been so important, this jungle camp, and it finally does pay off. Sneaky this time, the man to set it up.
Yep, with the vision there and the control, Ryu is just kind of getting choked out of this area and doesn't have enough control to see those coming, and the pressure bottom, the Frostbang purchase, etc., is not paying off in actual pressure to keep Sneaky and Smoothie in lane.
Plus, one of the main things I always mention with Jensen's Ekko is that he earns a CS lead versus pretty much all champions.
I don't know how he does it.
He uses, obviously everybody does this, but he'll use his teleport early, you know, he goes for that shoving, but even doing that, the last hitting with Ekko and with spamming Timewinder, he actually just lands a ridiculous number of those. Here goes the assassination though. Really good arrow from Sneaky to start it off, and then the all-in from the double assassin mids. Able to pick that one up very easily. And again, the big reward, Infernal Drake.
Yep, and they also get the flash from Meteos, so there's no return gank to the bottom where Sneaky has his down, and that you can make a flash cocoon play or anything of the like right now for Meteos.
C9 acting a little bit in the early game again. Does not seem like Contractz was hindered too much off of getting hit on Raptors, then not having a blue. He has found his way back into this game, and it was through Jensen in the mid lane.
Yeah, and sneaky with that arrow, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Setting that
Absolutely.
up. And that's what we're not seeing from P1. They had something like a Shen, they had Rengar. We weren't seeing enough of these plays.
Right.
And Cloud9 weren't really putting themselves in too many positions where they could be punished that hard. And just get that pick. You have to be very conscious of that, though. Here comes another arrow.
Parallel convergence as well, coming in from just in the fog of war. Nicely played by Jensen. They're trying to get all the tricks with the fog here played to get an advantage in the mid lane.
Over a full level advantage as well for Jensen here, currently on the Ekko in that mid lane. And, you know, again, the attempts from Meteos and Stunt working together, try and get some of that vision back and cut off the playmaking from the river, but gonna be a long time for them to really be able to gain control there.
And you're talking about the advantage that Jensen has. Highest CS per minute in the entire league, and that blows my mind because that's not just early game, that's the whole game. Sure, sometimes he gets funneled farm, but even if he's in losing matchups, he's still almost around that 10 per minute mark.
Oh, it gets locked up!
Let's see, he's feeling here. Chrono breaks back.
Meteos
Repel is up, and now they might have Meteos. That flash is down.
Yep.
It didn't have enough forward vision in the right spot to see that coming back at them. Ryu could be the focus. Arrow tries to get to him for the flash into free position. Impact knows he has to walk out, and Cloud9 read that quite nicely to get themselves to safety.
And Zig doesn't have enough mana here to go for an EQR combo onto anybody, so there's no way he can catch after that teleport.
Another victory there for Cloud9, coming out with the extra kill, and now again working in force to clear out more of the vision, remove more of the options. Meanwhile, Sneaky gets flashed on.
Where's the R?
Stunt
there it is.
going hard. There's a piercing arrow through. Hail of arrows, and the last auto from Stunt is going to pick that up. Sneaky heal is down as he goes as well.
Yeah, Ignite comes up as well for that kill. That's one of those ones, though, you're like, Arrow really wants that kill to get himself further ahead in
That's
the game.
a good point.
He's already winning lane. He wants to propel himself because this is a game that might get out of control very shortly because Jensen is starting to take over. Ekko's hitting those points. If he starts split pushing, who's going to answer him? TP-less, 2-level down Syndra? I don't think so.
Yeah, Proto Belt is completed, and a flashless Varus is a very juicy target.
Yeah.
They might even start rotating him into a side lane before one of the turrets fall. Currently, though, a lot of attention top lane.
Impact, hidden the bush. He does this all the time, and Zig flashing out.
A little bit of separation in the terrain to try and stop Contractz, but he's got the movement speed. The long-range toss and Impact reels him in for the kill.
And Zig's out of mana there. He can't EQ combo. He doesn't have enough resources to do that. You're spending all of that on that top lane wave clear. Impact does that all the time. I've told the story before where on the tournament realm, people use different names and they change their names, etc. So Cloud9, well, you don't know if it's Ray or Impact. They have a random name. But teams will be like, oh, no, that's Impact because he hid in that middle bush for like a minute and a half, made me think I was alone to clear the wave, and then comes out, gets the gank off, so Impact will set up his own ganks by pretending he's not there, giving you a false sense of security.
Just hiding in the brush. Big guy to be hiding, but he does manage it quite often. Oh, the hitbox hook onto Stunt. Turret shots as well. Nicely done by Impact. The little things going in their favor, and those start to play on you.
Meanwhile, the other two lanes for Cloud9 are pushing. Mid lane, kind of a setup dive opportunity as Contractz is waiting behind that Raptor pet, but Meteos moves past the ward, and they're going to see that the numbers will soon turn. Everybody now gravitating that way. Arrow at the ready.
Yeah, I was about to say that arrow is very important here. Oh, hey, that's actually
that arrow.
Okie doke.
This arrow, I was wondering which arrow you meant.
Wow.
This arrow is going to be the one that becomes important. 1-0-1 mid lane for C9.
Yeah, you don't expect that at all. What are they doing there? You thought they were going to rotate and wrap around mid. As soon as it shows that Impact is now soaking the pressure top and dying, that's going to be mid turret because now that bottom lane can't come reinforce mid.
Two can play at that game.
That's crazy.
The duo lane hides in fog of war against Impact and catches him instead.
I don't think I've actually seen that before where the bottom lane goes top and then instead of rotating mid and pushing them off that mid turret, you go for a kill and trade a kill for turret?
Even if they were to complete their rotation down, though, it would be difficult for them to actually defend that turret. Contractz is going to have difficulty defending himself against Zig.
I was going to say, if he can see him out of that one invisibility, but Contractz still had the leap out. Smoothie's going to be the caboose here, making sure everything is safe as they back out of the situation. And now P1 to clear their wards. And Zirene, to what you're speaking about in top lane, it really becomes only possible when P1 can dodge all vision, right? If you see the AD carry or AD and support going top, you lose a lot of ground across the map.
Here comes the Drake start. All members of P1 committing.
They're gonna try to kill this real quick. Jensen on the flank, and they're getting pinched in. Arrow available from Sneaky, hits Stunt.
Oh, he tried to back up. The team will look to help him. Jensen's gonna go in a 2v1 situation. Stunt's exploded by Contractz on the rest of the team. Now they're on to Meteos in the back line. P1 can't even get the staggered fight on different members. It's Cloud9 coming up with the fight for themselves with 3 kills.
Cloud9 split them in half with that arrow. Jensen had the angle on the flank from the Drake, and they absolutely dissect this team, pick them apart, and now they're pushing in.
I was talking about Chip. It's like, it's so hard to deal with this Ekko when he gets ahead. He even has TP. He works best in flank situations, and he got a great flank there. Jensen's positioning and setup for that fight was great. They knew he was there too. He threw out the Time Winder. They know he's on the backside of the Drake, but they still can't deal with it even though they see it coming.
Arrow right down the middle, splits the team off. Half of them go for Jensen, who just ults himself back out. Contractz immediately cleans up Stunt, and Impact is able to peel for the bottom lane enough to keep Smoothie and Sneaky both alive.
We're talking about that mid game from C9. They make calls like that. They make map plays like that. It's the setup for the fight that Cloud9 really excels at.
Phoenix1, things are getting very difficult for them once again. They've been in this scenario already before in the series, fighting to get vision back, fighting to create some space for them to make plays. And it really does, again, have to be in a numbers advantage situation because they're starting to just get outstatted with all the extra gold and Infernal Drakes going over here to Cloud9.
A little gold does sit in front of them with mid and bot turret, but in no way, shape, or forms are there waves or members ready to make that play. Chain of Corruption does slow it down, but Impact's already out, and Impact is already locking more down. There's the kill to start off the fight. Contractz low, he goes down to the Cataclysm, and now the fight continues. Depth charge back to Ryu. Zig, one shot from going down, and Sneaky sneaks one in to pick that up for himself. Stunt follows through, and now Ryu's gonna have to hide, find safety under the turret or solace on the fountain because nothing outside the base is P1.
Oh, yeah, hook!
There it is from Impact, another long-range hook. The follow-up kill to come through, and Jensen picks up another one, 3-0-3.
Doesn't matter who Cloud9 are playing, Ray, Impact, they're both playing great today, and Impact helps so much with that fight. Jensen on the flank as well. And pick off Meteos to start it off, but man, Cloud9 are starting to run away. It's that tempo. Once they get it, they keep forcing the fight, and they have the arrow to do so.
Yeah, Cloud9 look like they don't care who else is going to be in Vancouver, but they damn sure will be.
Let's see this again.
And it makes sure that their play is on point. Contractz hanging out in the front to cut off Ryu and Arrow's escape. Meteos goes down, but then Jensen is now in the back line. Contractz gets killed, and then Jensen shows up, can't really get out. And then Sneaky there for the cleanup. And now Stunt's just trying to kind of save Ryu, who flashes away there. And it's just miscommunication as well from P1. P1 are getting put in positions that they don't seem to know how to deal with. They've actually been playing the split pretty well as a team and playing coordinated fights, but this just seems like they're getting pulled apart by a composition that comes at you from all angles.
That was an awesome read by Impact to kind of follow the step backs of Ryu and how he was walking out to get the last kill.
Yeah, it comes down to vision too. Meteos checked that because he wanted to make sure that there's something that he can do and be like, all right, let's clear this vision out. Let's establish some more control. It's the next step. Doesn't have the same type of reinforcement.
And now it becomes very, very easy for Cloud9 as they have teleport advantage as well. Impact is down at the bottom, creating pressure on that bottom lane, while the rest of them just have to wait around at Baron, slowly clear out the vision. Time is actually working in Cloud9's favor.
Yeah, it's the tag team where one TP's down. All right, other guy goes there. Now he's the split pusher. So Jensen was doing it previously, TP'd in. Now Impact gets to do it, and there's no TP to answer. And you can see C9 kind of have level advantages across the board. 1 up in the support, 2 up in the mid lane, and 2 in jungle, as well as 1 top.
Yeah, only drawback is Impact is slightly slower at killing turrets than Jensen.
just a little bit.
Doing his best, though. Zig actually trying to chase him off now, and the rest of C9 look for a pick onto Ryu.
Arrow down. May make them feel a little safe here as they go for somewhat of an engage there as Sneaky fires that one off in safety. A lot of what P1 has been doing is reactive to C9, and C9, knowing they're ahead, are firing these arrows constantly, pushing in with the dive crew of Jensen and Contractz to start these fights and scatter P1.
And just the damage difference as well when face checking.
Right.
Contractz able to almost blow up Meteos completely, and then there, Contractz face checks, and it takes 2 people to get him pretty low. But now you can see Meteos investing more in damage, like we know him to do on the Elise. The Haunting Guys, the Proto Belt coming through here. He had the Kindle Gem, but look at this Ryu, gonna get stunned.
Parallel convergence locks him down. That means the team has to scatter even more. Bot turret's gonna fall. A little bit of a fight between Impact and Zig in the bot lane, but that only means Zig can't help here.
Exactly. You don't have to be in the parallel convergence when it first lands. If it lands, it stays there, and then it'll activate the first moment that Ekko gets into it, and Jensen flashes in to get that stun on Ryu after the knockback. 3 levels up now, just destroying. The composition difference is huge here, too. C9 split push, 1-3-1. P1 don't have answers.
There's the Mage Eyes for Jensen.
Here come the rest of the team from base, too. It doesn't look like Phoenix1 will get anything done. Cloud9 can just push him off his turret, then take the Drake afterwards. There's almost no recourse here for Phoenix1. They also have to worry about this Ashe arrow picking off anyone out of position. They're 4-5.
Yeah.
Almost a go for broke moment. Meteos gets hit, somebody that can get out of the situation, but once he falls, he is the target and instantly hit up by Contractz. Zig, a flag and drag out of the pit, no follow there. C9's happy with 1, and they'll look for Baron.
They got the Drake, but of course, it is going to be at the cost of a ton of pressure around Baron. There is maybe that Hail Mary play where Phoenix1 feel like they're losing this game so heavily that they have to make a super risky play.
They have the AoE.
But honestly, this steal is so low chance because it doesn't even come from a smite. It would have to be somebody throwing a long-range ability in there.
And they did this in game 1. If it's 4v5, you don't even have to go for the 50-50. Just turn on them, go for the fight. Jensen there tries to zone a bit.
Stunt actually doesn't even throw the ult on. He throws in a root, and nobody really gets taken down by it.
Yeah, you can tell. P1, they know what happened last time they all walked forward in a 4v5 at the Baron. They got destroyed, and the game was over then. So now they cut their losses, but it's a 10,000 gold advantage almost for C9, 23.5 minutes in.
Jensen converting over to the Medjais as well, looking to add another page to that book as Cloud9 go for that purple victory lap right down into the base.
And
gotta be careful though, a little bit.
But nobody else really around to capitalize. And now he's getting flanked by Jensen. So this looks like it might be Ekko food.
All right, here we go. A ring around the rosy.
Whoa. Jensen with the explosion onto Arrow. That means the DPS is gone.
It's too graphic for the NALCS. Yeah. Can't watch that.
In the blink
of an eye. Oh no, we can't look anywhere. They're all dying.
You can't show that on the screen. 16-3 here. As they continue in, we're only looking at 40-second death timers here. So Cloud9 also has to be careful going into the base, but they throw that to the wayside. Careful is not in the book.
Cloud9 determined to get their spot in the finals, and Phoenix1 will get their chance in the 3rd place match. Still such an upward trajectory for that team.
Each game more dominating than the last, more control. Even with the switch to the top lane, Phoenix1 trying to pull out all the stops as well. With Meteos and Stunt, but Cloud9 persevere, come out strong, finish at the end of the split strong, and they will be looking for the finals in Vancouver.
A 25-minute victory from Cloud9 over the 3rd place team from the regular season. That was a shellacking.
Absolutely amazing play for Cloud9. A 3-0 as they head to Vancouver for the finals, and definitely a game to watch for whoever their opponents are. We'll find out tomorrow. But like you said, shellacking as they came out very strong and found a groove each game, which makes it that much more dangerous when you know you're going to be in a best of 5 against these guys.
That's what you want to see going into the finals. You want to see a 3-0 from a team that wants to take the title. Cloud9, they've been flexing around that top lane. They've been working with so many different strategies, so many different diverse picks, that what really matters is winning, being the champions again with this lineup, and trying to make it to the mid-season invitational.
Smiles all around from the C9 squad. Almost all around.
Oh, that is awesome. The camaraderie between these teams as well. The top laners finishing off the handshakes. As these two men, you just saw Contractz, Jensen, the rest of the team behind them, but those dive buddies, Jensen and Contractz, really playing to each other's synergies and complementing each other very well this series.
Absolutely. That's one of the things that I was really looking at is Jensen, he's played really well. He's had great laning statistics, but at the same time, he brought in a rookie to be alongside him, was able to kind of groom him to be more towards his style in the mid lane. And that was something that's always kind of plagued Cloud9 mid laners and junglers, is they haven't always gotten along, but this seems to be a good combo.
As well, there seems to have been a change since Reaper stepped into the mix for the team. We heard when he came in, or even heard today from Captain Flowers that, Dash, the philosophy was kind of learning what the players wanted, understanding what the players wanted. But we also heard when he came in, this communication is a little mishap. So there were changes he did make to that team to make them
definitely one of their main strengths now.
Exactly.
You know, the warding especially, almost always at least 2 members really fighting around that mid lane to keep up that vision for Jensen, for his lane phase, and also get all these picks to start out their snowball.
Yeah, I thought it was really well played from Cloud9. What? What was that? Oh.
At the end of the game, I had gone crazy.
But yeah, so Jensen actually went crazy for pretty much that whole series. Yeah. We talked about Ryu being a big strength for P1 up against Dignitas. That was not seen at all today. They shut him down. Didn't matter if he had Meteos. Didn't matter if he had an Ori next to him. Just vision control and Cloud9 playing around mid. And
coming out of that, we saw Zig at the end there kind of going, you know, smiles on their faces. What a change.
He's going to Canada
What a change for the organization, right?
Exactly.
So much this year that they were able to topple.
Feels better than relegation. I will say that for sure. Feels way better than promotion tournament where Zig had been last split around that time in playoffs. Now he's played in playoffs. Not really the best showing there for the team, but they will have that 3rd, 4th place match in Vancouver, so he'll be able to play in Canada where he's from.
That's what I wanted to hit on, is there were definitely some flaws there. A week now to kind of look at those and see what they can patch up, because we saw P1 getting some of the champions that they wanted in Champion Select, and it still wasn't coming to fruition for them. So right now we're going to go head to stage side where Captain Flowers has an interview with Cloud9's mid lane.